Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to Spice and Wolf, episode 24, in which I actually don't know. I mean, in which they will probably be running away from the village. I'm just not sure whether they actually will run away, or maybe someone's gonna, I don't know, either get cold feet about it, or maybe someone's gonna be like, no, I have to save the village, and they're gonna go back, or I don't actually know. It really feels kind of uncharacteristic for this show to have an arc, to have a situation that is just being concluded with, and then they run. Right? Kind of feels uncharacteristic. Although, I don't know, maybe not. I sang praises of this sort of a solution to this whole situation just in a previous episode, so it wouldn't really be good for me to criticize it now. And I'm not criticizing it. I just wonder if, like, really, that's what we're doing. Just making sure. So yeah, I wonder what's actually gonna happen. We still have 2 more episodes to go, and I don't think they're gonna be running away for 2 whole entire episodes. I don't know. We'll see. Regardless, yeah, I'm looking outside because the weather is surprisingly good for a flood danger. It's really hot today, like 24, 25-ish degrees and full sun and whatnot. But there's a flood wave coming in from the mountains, so by tomorrow we could very well be just, well, not underwater because I live on the 8th floor, but flooded. Hopefully not, but who knows? I got some water and dry food and stuff like that. There's no water in the little nearby. Just completely fucking empty. The entire aisle is devoid of even just, bare pallets. There are not even bare pallets left. I don't know if people took them to make rafts or whatever, but there is absolutely nothing. So yeah, not a fun situation overall, but regardless, I keep talking about things that are not this episode. Or, well, previous episode, rather. Let's start with that. What happened in the previous episode? Not a whole lot, actually. Not a whole lot. Basically, we learned about we got the entire picture, or, well, most of the picture, right? We know that the guy who died from consuming wheat was just a random cobbler, not even anybody important. We know that they know what kind of an illness that is, or what kind of a wheat infection or fungus or something like that, and they would have seen it if it actually happened to their wheat, but they didn't. So it probably didn't happen, and it's probably just an excuse. It's probably just a casus belli, essentially, against the village and against Elsa, most of all, probably. Not really, though. Against the village, rather. Because the village is kind of a pain in the arse to the whole entire region, because it has a very good deal with the main city, with the church and whatnot, and they can essentially just do fuck all for the most of the year, and they can sell their wheat at a good price, and that's perfectly enough for them. Meanwhile, other villages need to work during winter, need to I don't know, do different things besides just wheat just to stay afloat. So of course they want to renegotiate this deal, and what better chance to renegotiate it than some sort of a reason to suspect the villagers of something and then try to bankrupt them. That's probably the plan, because the city wants to return the wheat and wants the village to return their money, which is not silver, as I thought initially. You guys pointed that out in the comments. It's gold, like big gold coins, and 70 of them, and most of it has already been spent for food, for pleasures, for new tools, for, I don't know, ducks and pigs and whatnot. So they don't even have that money in the first place. And that's supposedly the plan, or at least Lawrence believes that this is the plan, where the town wants to say, okay, sure, you can't afford that, but in exchange, next year, sell us your wheat cheaper, right? And the village will sell the wheat cheaper, and then the city will, will say, well, okay, but next year sell us cheaper, and they're not gonna be able to say no because they still owe the city money, and the entire spiral until the entire village is completely bankrupt, and the city can do with it as they please. That's probably the plan. And the village doesn't really have any recourse against that. They don't even have silos for wheat. They won't be able to eat the wheat that comes back to them because it's been poisoned, right? It's been infected, so they can't even do that. They turned to Lawrence for help, and he did tell them what's gonna happen most probably, but that's not really gonna be of too much help to them in the first place. It's not like the amount of wheat that Lawrence has would be of any help. The amount of money that Lawrence has, maybe it could actually buy their debt. Maybe it's possible, but it's not going to be a great deal for Lawrence, right? Because even if he does purchase the debt of the village, then how is that village going to pay off that debt? It's not like the village is particularly profitable, so it would be lost money, and I don't think he even has enough money in the first place. Again, someone of you did a whole calculation in the comments of roughly how much money Lawrence has on him, and I think it came out to like 40 gold coins. I think. I'm not 100% sure. I don't fully remember, but still not enough to cover the entire debt. That is estimated to be like, what, 70 coins? Yeah. So Lawrence is not going to be of much help there, unfortunately. So Lawrence and Holo go to the church to discuss the whole situation with Elsa. They learn a little bit more, I guess, about her situation, about Father Franz, about how, okay, there is that one noble that kind of stands behind Elsa, but if she tries to squeeze that noble for some influence, then he's not gonna be her backer for much longer. Because he backs her only because it's convenient, maybe a little bit of loyalty left towards Father Franz. It's not like he, wants to be involved in a tough situation like that. So they don't really have a solution. They don't really have an out. And then the villagers decide that, well, of course, it was what's his face? Evan. Of course, it was Evan who poisoned the wheat. Who else, right? He's the miller, he's already untrustworthy, he's already the tax collector, and he's already a thief, and he already has access to that wheat, so who else, right? And we hate his guts, so of course he hates our guts, and of course he wanted to drag us into something like that, right? That's essentially the thinking. And thankfully by then Evan is already at the church, so they can't really just drag him and quarter him in the main square to the to much cheer of the women and children, for whom it's probably one of the only sources of entertainment in this world. So hopefully they are safe. Thankfully they are safe. Even Ima is with them as well, the beer fairy, I think she called herself. Yeah, so everybody's safe, although the villagers do come knocking with probably sticks because they don't have pitchforks or anything like that. So a plan is made. That we are escaping. Lawrence and Holo are escaping. They're not gonna be involved into that. They don't want to be involved, especially since the villagers also have suspicions that, well, the newcomers came to the village, the outsiders, the other, well, who is at fault here? Well, of course, it's gonna be them, not us, right? So they are in trouble. And the problem is, even if they do escape, that's gonna be like well, no, not quite. If they escape, the villagers' ire will move towards Evan, right? He's gonna be their next scapegoat. Okay, we're gonna take Evan with us. Sure, well, who's dealing with Evan a lot? Who's dealing with the outsiders? Who housed them? Who's the other? Not a pagan, not someone who worships the snake, the serpent. Well, of course, it's Elsa. She's gonna be the next scapegoat, because of course, right? So, okay, we take Elsa with us as well, but problem is, that's gonna be essentially admitting fault. Kinda, sorta. Not with any evidence or anything, but in the eyes of the villagers, it will be admitting fault. Something went awry and they escaped, well, they must be at fault then, right? Simple thinking. So they can't escape with the cart, with the horse, with all the merchandise that Lawrence has. They have to escape using Holo, using her wolven form, namely, to get to the association before any sort of wanted posters and whatnot can be spread around, because the association can protect Lawrence because they can act preemptively. If he already becomes a wanted man, the association can't really do much, right? It's a different thing to protect someone who's still innocent. It's a different thing to protect someone who is presumed to be a criminal on the run. And the association might even want to cut him off if he already had wanted posters after him. So only using Holo can we get to safety quickly enough. While the whole discussion is taking place, Holo also reads the book about how about Yoitsu, and she reads a very heartening bit. Very short. There isn't much written about Yoitsu, but what is written is that Yoitsu was destroyed by the bear, yes, but its inhabitant turned tail and ran. So hopefully that means they are alive. Yoitsu might be rebuilt, might not be, might be moved somewhere else, we don't know that, but at least the people of Yoitsu are presumed to be alive and well. So there's at least that. Even if we don't find Yoitsu, even if we only find charred ruins, we can still have the goal of finding the people. And that's what matters, right? Home is where the people are, or what have you. Holo at the same time is kind of, two minds about it, because on one hand, the whole town was destroyed and her people are essentially cowards because they ran, but on the other hand, because of their cowardice, they survived, so there's that light in the tunnel. Some ribbing and teasing ensues between Holo and Lawrence, of course, and the decision is made that yes, we're going to be taking the Holo Express out of there as quickly as possible. And to do that, Holo, of course, has to reveal her form to Evan, Elsa, and Ima, but they promise to treat it just, just a dream. Just a dream. It's not like she exists, it's not like she's a wolf, it was just a dream. There's thankfully a safe passage behind the church, somewhere in like the whatchamacallit, the cellar of the church. There's a wall that can crumble, and there's a tunnel outside of the church, presumably also outside of the village. They can follow it and get out quickly, efficiently, and safely. And where are they gonna go? We don't know. Probably the nearest big city, because we need someone of the not the headquarters, but we need one of the places where Lawrence's association took root, right? So not just any random village will do, because they don't have the association houses or guild houses or whatever you want to call them. So it's probably gonna have to be a big city. The big city of Enberg, probably not their target, because Enberg is after them in one way or another. So they're gonna have to travel a bit further through the mountains, perhaps through the cave of the serpent god. Maybe, entirely possible. We'll see. We shall see how it goes. Yeah, I think that's it. So, how about we just watch this episode and see how it goes exactly, right? Shall we? To do that, you're gonna need your subs to follow along with me. There we go. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on in the show. And I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon, YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word, costs you nothing and helps a lot. And with that, we can start watching Spice and Wolf episode 24 in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, it started. Good. Do they have horses to chase you? Probably not. Good. Corpses? I probably should close the window because the door to my room is banging. I'm gonna... Oh, perfect. Gives me time to close the window. There we go. The weather today was too good. Of course, it had to get windy, and the wind will probably bring in more rain, and the predictions of the nearby river not spilling over are gonna be outdated, and it's gonna spill over. Oh, hopefully not. There was a similar flood in the city in 97, and the neighborhood where I live was not flooded. So here's hoping it's not gonna flood this time either. The city had more time to, you know, prepare itself for floods like that. There are new reservoirs, new, like, whatchamacallit, on the sides of river, the, like, raises above. I'm gonna have to restart the webcam. There we go. Yeah, so hopefully it's gonna be fine. Okay. Is this perhaps the grotto of the snake god? An offering? Pomegranates. How are you gonna get down, though? Okay, why does it lead to the church, though? Yeah. Could it be that Franz himself spread this rumor to safeguard this place? Or he heard that story, and that's why he dug in this direction. Oh, so Lord Trujillo existed. I mean, it's not like humans enter it. They just leave offerings and go away. Yeah, let's start the Church of Holo officially. I volunteer to be a, I don't know, priest, I guess. Okay, so there is a route down. On Wolfback. Oh? I guess. He already shows fear. Him too? Oh no. He's here to take her clothes. Don't peek. You have Elsa with you. Grain or blood? Do we even have any grain with us? Oh, I guess there is still some in the potpourri. You better, refill it eventually, because I fear that it's gonna run out at the worst possible moment. Oh, we're seeing a little bit of the transformation, a little bit more of the transformation than usual. That's cool. Of course. Well, you're getting eaten. Yeah, it's just a dream. You're gonna wake up, you're not gonna remember any of that. How's your faith doing, Elsa? Yep. Okay, same rules apply as to Lawrence. Amazing music, by the way. Yeah, hold on tight. You should probably consider, like, always having a length of rope with you or something to tie yourself to Holo. Oh, okay. Sure, I guess. Yeah, you don't have permission to do that, to use her as a bed. Not even Lawrence does, it seems. Are you alluding to something, perhaps? Oh? Pursuers? Okay, so I guess it's not that dangerous if she went right back to sleep. That looks like a warband. Or an armed transport? Why do they have bales of straw with them. It's not the wheat that was sold to Enberg, is it? It is? More will come. More will come. And they're gonna have much bigger beef with you. Yeah. Exactly. Well, we continue with the plan of running. Haven't they come here from Kumerson? Isn't Kumerson the town where Amarty was? Probably too. Yeah. Well, yes, I mean, you know that, I know that. Of course. Rudeus himself, probably. Or Ridelius, or whatever the Hellfire is called. Should probably look for a cave or someplace otherwise hidden next time you're stopping for a rest. Nope. I mean, at least she doesn't like to call herself that. Yeah, but she doesn't think herself to be one. Yep, she was able to provide such harvest. Nope. She's not Truyel. She's Truyel adjacent, you could say. More or less the same kind of a being, probably. Yep. Exactly. Smart girl. Was she about to ask Holo about the existence of God? About if Father Franz is in heaven or something like that? Or was she about to ask her that she, I don't know, communicates with Truyel so that he can save the village? Okay, that's good. A good, proper researcher during those times would be useful to have around. Maybe we could. Oh! You're gonna get burned at a stake. Yeah. Sure. They are more than willing to abandon you, though. So. I mean, sure, like, do what you want, but I gotta say, I was kind of hoping that we could maybe hook her up with Dian. Maybe she could become an apprentice or something. Follow her? Of course. Well, if she's not gonna get burned at the stake, then you are. So... What about? Okay, yeah, right, because they ran back to their hometown and Hollow is having regrets that she didn't. Yeah, I mean, the entire village didn't manage to do that. Yeah, probably. Yeah, she only heard about it like a couple of thousand years after it happened, or a couple of hundred at least. Right, that's true. Do we continue to run? Or do we go back and try to save the village? Like what? You can't really like stop the warband. Yeah, you can't exactly go to the church official and say, I'm the god of wheat. I can tell that it wasn't poisoned, right? Like what? Turn water into wine or something? And make Elsa a saint? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something big enough to actually seem like a miracle. Oh, there's still plenty. I thought there's just like a couple of grains left, but no, they have plenty. What did you do? What did you do, Holo? What the fuck did you do? Yeah, probably not. Well, wear your clothes then. Or transform, sure. Your fur is better than any clothes after all, right? Need a lift? Look how the weather has changed. True. Okay, so we're not gonna learn what kind of a miracle it is until the very moment it's performed. I mean, nobody's asking them to do that. But still, like, keep them. Gotcha. Some, like, version of polytheism. What, you're gonna act like Astriel? Or... No? I guess a part of the miracle is Evan eating the wheat? Amazing music. I fucking love music in this show. It's such a vibe. It fits all the landscapes and everything so perfectly. Which the grace of one deity already is with you. Okay, so this was a very, very nothing episode. Right? Like, we ran and then went back. And we're back where we started, essentially, but with a plan, I guess. That's the change here. Yeah, my cat left. You can tell exactly when colder days are coming from the behavior of my cat. She no longer wants to sleep on the windowsill where it's cold and there's a breeze from the cracked open window. She sleeps in my bed now. So I guess I was correct early on that I found it hard to believe that they're just going to run and that's gonna be it. They have to get involved. They can't help but to get involved, can they? Miracle's Path and Journey's Continuation. Hopefully, Journey's Continuation means announcement of season 2. From what I heard from you guys in the comments, just the main story of Spice and Wolf would probably take like 4 double core episodes if they wanted to show everything. So I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm really actually hoping for. But let's watch this episode again, shall we? Actually, it really wouldn't surprise me if they did make another season. I don't think it's announced yet. No, it's not. But But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they made another season, because it's made by Studio Passione. Studio Passione, from what I gathered, did not really have any like bangers in their history. Did not really have any like long-running franchises. Like, they made a couple of good shows. They made Rokka no Yusha, I see. God Eater, like one season of High School DxD, right? But everything was like some, seasonal fantasy, ecchi kind of show, and that's basically it. Meanwhile, I have a feeling that they can get quite a bit of money and renown from just churning out Spice and Wolf seasons and churning out the entire show, and then the supplementary material and spin-offs and sequels and all of that. I really think it might be just a complete gold mine for them, so hopefully they continue with that, but of course we'll see with time. Regardless, yeah, villagers might chase, but of course the entrance is sealed. Path of the Snake God and Answer of the Wise Wolf. Path of the Snake God being the, I guess, the tunnel that the Snake God apparently dug out. Yeah, hole that Lord Trujillo was said to have dug long ago in order to hibernate. Yeah, I wonder why Father Franz dug the tunnel like directly into this burrow. Was it just convenience? Right? Like, instead of digging just completely through the mountain to the other side, then he could just dig very little until he gets to the burrow, and then the rest of the route is covered by the burrow. Could be that. Could be the desire to research this burrow one day. Maybe. Could be the fact that it's a holy site for the villagers, so they would never dare enter it, and so he has free reign to use it as his emergency exit. Probably. Right? Like, take the offerings from the altar every now and then, so that it looks like Lord Trujillo himself took them, and, right, increase that belief in the villagers, and it makes for a very safe exit without any sort of door necessary. Maybe. Interesting that the den is real, that Trujillo or some sort of a snake deity lived here, at one point at least. Do you not wish to worship me as well? Of course I do, everybody does. Only a fool would not be willing to worship the wise wolf holo. Got some nice fan service. I really wonder if the grain running out is gonna be a plot point at some point. With how much is left inside of that satchel, I don't think so. Haven't had my coffee, sorry for yawning. But I wonder, like, it really would make a nice dramatic moment, right? Where they have to run or something. Holo is like, I will transform and carry us, and then, shit, no wheat, right? Or they get separated and Lawrence keeps the potpourri, and Holo can, of course, teleport into it, but oh shit, the potpourri is empty, there's no grain, Holo can't teleport to me, or, right? Stuff like that. It really would be a nice dramatic moment, so I wonder if they're gonna use it. Cool transformation sequence. I think this is the most of her transformation that we've seen so far. Right? The growing fur, the change from into a digitigrade form, this like still, half wolf, half human form, right? And then slowly turning into a doggo. And amazing music. Just fucking amazing music. I love this scene for music alone. If nothing else, then for music alone. And Lawrence, of course, dutifully taking the clothes that she keeps discarding. I don't know. I really like this detail of Lawrence just walking after her and picking up her clothes. It really shows their connection, I guess. Looks like Thunder Franz wasn't a liar, yeah? Seems to be the case. What the fuck is going on with my webcam? Do I have to restart it again? Hopefully that's gonna help. And we are running. The music continues. Rest until morning. Yeah, they are sending an entire whole war band. It's not just some city official and a cart of wheat. No, it's an entire convoy protected with armed men, with like a high-ranking church official. It's like no small thing. It's a big deal that's marching through the woods here. And those are not hay bales, as I thought initially, those are sacks of grain. Yeah. Interesting, though, that those armed men don't seem to have like a consistent consistent gear, right? They're not army, or at least not any sort of organized unified army. There are either mercenaries or just a war band, like random war band that's been paid off by the church so that they can protect them, or something like that. Everybody has the same kind of weapon there, so actually that would make them a very interesting middle ground, I guess, because in well, not all throughout medieval times, because medieval era spans like a lot of time, but at some point there were basically like two kinds of armies, right? There was the like professional quote unquote army, where everybody had more or less the same kind of gear, right? Mass produced by the Lord and given to the soldiers and the guards, right? So everybody looks uniform and it looks nice on the battlefield. And then you had, I guess, the conscripts, right? Who would scour and scavenge whatever kind of gear they could. If you have a leather jacket, well, you use leather jacket. If you can make a lamel armor, then you're gonna have some lamel armor. If you can pick up, I don't know, scale armor from a fallen enemy, then you have scale armor, basically. They might have been outfitted with the same kind of weapon, because usually when you get conscripts, they don't usually have weapons at home, unless maybe some pitchforks and axes. So they might have gotten actually spears like that. Yeah, and spears are, well, not easy to use. The easiest weapon to use is a club and variations of a club. But spears are ultimately fairly cheap because there isn't much metal and much forging that goes into it. It's mostly just wood, and it's basically just stab. It doesn't really need much training besides stab, right? No, like feints and spins and, fencing and shit like that, just stab. If you can't stab, then pull back and stab again. So, what was I trying to say? That they're somewhere like in the middle between a professional army and conscripts. So, some sort of a band of mercenaries, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. They're dressed like mercenaries would be, or some other ragtag band, but the uniform weapons really make it seem like they have been outfitted by some lord above them. They plan to return all the wheat, yeah. Men with spears, of course, in case villagers don't want to take the wheat back. Kill them all? No, that's not gonna help. Right now, they are just, whatchamacallit, just bodyguards, essentially. You kill the bodyguards, you kill the city, the church official, next time they're gonna come with an army. Because now you're no longer just suspected of heresy, now you're rebels. Now you're against the lord of the area, and now the lord must smite you. It changes things. Town of Kumerson. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kumerson is the city where the whole entire Fool's Gold pyrite debacle was taking place, right? I think so. Carriage of a high-ranking member of the church. Right, and he is protected by more or less professional army, right? Everybody has the same gear, everybody has the same helmets, same shield, same cape, right? They are professionals, they are not a ragtag band. Pagan, yeah. Someone died because Ridelius's hellfire was mixed in the wheat from Tereo, and of course villagers of Tereo also eat wheat of Tereo, and they haven't died, so of course Ridelius himself must protect them. Obviously. I'm sure the church will claim, yeah, obviously the church will claim that. That's their entire goal, that's their entire plan. Are you truly a god? No, not really. She is who she is. Don't try to label her. Are you Trujillo? No. No, she's not. Trujillo is Trujillo, you are you. Exactly. Smart girl. Then, what was she trying to ask here, I wonder? Then, I can see like 3 possibilities for maybe possible questions she could have asked here. Then, does the god I believe in exists? Then, do you know if Father Franz made it to heaven? Probably not. Then, could you speak to Trujillo so that he helps the village? Then, could you use your powers to help the village? 4 possibilities. That question, and she didn't finish either. So we don't really know ultimately. Probably a question about Father Franz, it was supposed to be, or about her god. She wouldn't be crying after the village, I don't think. She would be crying. Yeah, she would be brought to tears because of Father Franz or because of her faith, not because of the village or because of the village. Because yeah. I will carry on the legacy of Father Franz. Now I can say that with certainty. Here I was thinking, and especially with Lorenz saying that we are going to Kumerson, I thought, okay, she will carry the legacy of Father Franz by studying the stories of the pagan gods. And since we are going to Kumerson, well, maybe Dian would like an apprentice, and she would be a perfect apprentice for Dian. Right? Maybe Dian could even, I don't know, sneak into the church somehow under the guise of a bird and get all the books that Elsa left behind, right? Right? Possibilities. We get out and we start a new life, and now Elsa is not so much a priest in training, right? Like she still prays every morning, prays every night, prays before eating, and is in general religious, but is not like officially part of the church. Officially, well, unofficially, I guess she's a researcher. She tries to find information about pagan deities and whatnot. That was my expectation. But no, she wants to return. What's the point of returning to the village? That's the question I would like to ask, actually. The villagers completely squandered France's legacy. The villagers never cared about Elsa. The villagers even scorned her for being the, representative of God in a pagan village, and they only tolerated her because Father Franz got them a sweet deal. So I really don't understand Elsa's loyalty towards the village. Like, I could see that she wants to return to the village because she wants to take care of the church and protect Franz's legacy, right? The entire library of his works. Right, okay, I can see that. But I can't see her legacy towards the village. I'm responsible for the village church. Cool. Yeah. I cannot abandon the villagers? Yes, you can. They've basically given you permission to do that by being conceited assholes, every single one of them, besides Ima, maybe. I hope you become a fine merchant. A merchant must be able to weigh the gains and losses in a calm manner. Right. Initially, I thought that what Lawrence means here is that, you must weigh gains and losses. If you go with Elsa, you gain Elsa, but you might lose your life. You lose the possibility of becoming a merchant because you're gonna go back to your life of a miller. You risk this, you risk that, right? You risk many losses. You gain not much ultimately. You gain one thing, Elsa. But as time goes on, and as as Lawrence repeats it, the meaning of that really changes in my mind. Right? How do the gains and losses weigh on your scale? It's not just about the amount of gains and losses, it's about the weight of them. Lawrence already had to do that in the previous arc, right? He had to weigh the gain from Amarty, from Pyrite and whatnot, versus getting Holo back. And monetarily and quantity-wise, chasing after Holo was not that much of a gain, but it had a lot of weight, so that's what he picked. And now he has experience with that, and now he imparts that wisdom onto Evan, right? What weighs more in your heart? And of course, what weighs more is Elsa. So he rushes after her. I was really confused with Holo's reaction. Her glowing eyes, I thought maybe, I don't know, something overtook her. Maybe she's been transformed for too long and she's losing her mind. Maybe it's full moon, maybe this, maybe that. But no, it's all about the parallels between Evan and Elsa leaving their village and Holo leaving hers. Right? She was fine with them leaving because that's what she did as well. She also left Yoitsu behind. So them also deciding to leave, them also deciding that this is the best course of action, validates her own choice. But now they decided to go back. Despite everything, despite all odds, despite the fact that it might end up badly, that it probably would end up badly if Holo and Lawrence decided to go with the plan of going back to Commerson, right? Despite all of that, they decided to go back, to not abandon their village. And Holo now sees or thinks that she's worse because she abandoned hers. And she no longer has the validation of her choice. Right? Was I wrong? To fight for your hometown, even against hopeless odds. At the very least, you'll be left with no regrets. Right. Sure. Even if Evan and Elsa don't manage to save the village, even if an army comes in and decimates it, they will live without regrets because they did what they believed was right. Right? My claws can crush stone, I can defeat any number of humans. No one could beat me in Yoitsu, no human, no wolf, no deer, no boar. So what about a bear? Could I have beaten the moon-hunting bear? Right, she's basically saying, I should have been there. I should have been in Yoitsu. I should have fought. Even if I was killed, I should have fought for my hometown. And yeah, it probably would have been an epic fight, even if she died, as Lawrence says, but again, as Lawrence says, it's just a hypothetical. It's not that the bear attacked right after she left. It's not like the bear attacked when she was there. The bear attacked hundreds of years after she left. And she didn't even know about that attack hundreds of years more in the future. So how could she have done anything? Yeah, that's not what happened. Disaster came while you were completely unaware. Exactly. You understand how foolish you're acting? Yes, she does. Yes, she does. You would have no right to complain about getting murdered. Excuse me, it was you straddling him. It was you pinning him to the ground, so, you know. Oh, fuck. The situation is reversed a little bit, so, debatable. Just you wait. Not for long, though. Too late for Yoitsu, but there's still a chance for their village. I'm not a mere wolf. Yeah, I would easily be able to discern the difference, but the church would probably not take the word of a pagan deity for, you know, for a solution. If anything, the church would bring 2 armies, because the villagers apparently are not dealing with just one pagan deity, but 2 of them, so, you know, sold the earth. No way to make them believe us, except a miracle. Claims of heresy were retracted because of a miracle. Okay, so the plan is not to make Elsa a saint. I initially thought that was the plan, right? Pretend that it's Elsa causing the miracle, make her a saint, so that her reign in the area would not be contested by anybody, right? Because Saint Elsa has the village under her protection. It's Saint Elsa's church, right? It wouldn't look good in the eyes of the church if someone were to attack the the area where Saint Elsa reigns supreme. But no, what they're doing is claims of heresy were retracted because of a miracle, right? Basically, well, the town, the area, can't be that bad. It can be that heretical if God himself is willing to show a miracle in the area, right? It's probably like, if the area really was tainted and beyond salvation, God would summon a thunder and burn it. God would summon a volcanic eruption or an earthquake and sink the entire place below Earth, right? But no, instead God made flowers bloom in winter, or I don't know, made wheat create circles in the middle or whatever, right? So of course God must still have their eye on the area, and it's a good eye. This is my place. I'm willing to show miracles here. We good. You can go away. Yeah, but yeah, it's the church who decides if a miracle is indeed a miracle. So it must be something obvious. It can be something like wheat matured 1 week early. Sure, it might be a miracle to the villagers who are waiting for that wheat and looking after it, yeah, but it's not gonna be much of a miracle to the bishop or whoever the fuck is coming to the village. They are getting really smart with censorship. Now it's a piece of, what, her cloak, I think? Maybe, something. Yeah, that's a lot of wheat. I thought that she's giving those pieces of wheat to Lawrence for some purpose, but no, she's making them move and then does something that we, the audience, are not supposed to see, but something that makes Lawrence absolutely gobsmacked. So yeah, apparently a very visible, very apparent miracle, and we're still gonna have to wait at least a week to see what that miracle is. We'll have to turn the returned wheat into money, right? But now, if the whole entire fucking Reconquista goes back, we're gonna have the wheat somewhere in a barn or wherever, and Holo will be able to sniff and see, yeah, that's good wheat, actually, we can still sell it. And because we have Lorenz in place, he can go, probably not to Enberg, but maybe to Kummerson or somewhere else to sell it, to peddle it off. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense, I guess. Match to Chile. No, she's not wearing clothes, she's wearing fur. You look disappointed. I mean, he's not a fairy, I guess. Or at least not into the feral kinds of fairies. Immediately weather changed. I really like it when like change in the vibe, I guess, of a show is signified by the change in weather or in color palette or stuff like that. Right? It's hazy, the forest is completely dead, everything is gray, and now everybody made the decision. Now there's a light of hope. There's a ray of hope visible. We can solve the problem. Now the air is clear. Everything is green. Right? The colors pop. As the miracle Holo can perform, we still don't know what it is. Any product should be purchased when the price is the lowest to obtain the greatest profit. Yeah, so we wait until the last possible moment to show the miracle. Exactly. If we show that miracle early, then the villagers are gonna remain conceited because, well, like the church came after us, but there was that miracle that appeared. Must be Lord Truyeau's doing. So, we can just keep doing as we were doing anyway. Lord Truyeau will save us all. No, you gotta wait until the last moment. You gotta wait until, emotions are at their highest. Then you do a miracle, and then you can expect miracles from the villagers as well, probably. And Elsa also has a suggestion. Even if I show them a miracle, I doubt the villagers will abandon Truyeau. Yeah, they don't have to abandon him. They can abandon Truyeau, at least in, on the outside. That would probably be the best idea, right? Like, appear as a good, God-fearing village to the outside so that they don't get into any trouble. What you do in your own home, that's like whatever. Have an entire altar dedicated to Lord Truyeau, no problem. Go and leave some offering on the altar, no problem. But at least appear a God-fearing believer, right? The method will place the pagan gods under our god. Okay, so we are going for something reminiscent of the cult of the saints in Christianity. Well, not literally, but kinda sorta, right? I always argued that the cult of the saints is basically a form of polytheism, right? Like you have the patron saint of wheat. You have the patron saint of good weather. You have the patron saint of water. You have the patron saint of this, of that. And then you have the god above them. How's that different from Bastet being the deity of home? And I don't know. I don't remember my Egyptian deities. And someone else being the deity of the Nile. I think it was Sobek was the deity of the Nile. And then you have the supreme Ra above them all, right? Like, it's basically the same thing. So I wonder if they're trying to do something like that here. Like, okay, sure, there's Lord Truyeau. Okay, he, supports the village and he's doing miracles and ensures good harvest. But above Lord Truyeau is our, God, not one and only anymore, but, there's the God above them. So okay, you can still worship your Sobek, but also you have to worship Ra, because Ra is above Sobek, right? Something like that is what we're going for here. Truly great wolf does not take such things as one position to heart. Right. Will you be alright, Evan? So a part of it is Evan apparently having to eat the poisoned wheat as to prove that it's not poisoned? Probably. I mean, safe to assume that it's going to be part of a trial. If they want to argue that the wheat is not poisoned, they better prove it. And I guess Evan volunteered. If that happens, I will easily swallow you whole. Yeah, no problem. No biggie. There's few gluttons as big as Holo in this world. They're here. Are we trying to capture them en route to the village, or do we wait until they make it to the village? I wonder. May God's grace be with us. At least one deity's grace will be with us, so you get that covered, Elsa. Yeah, that's a serpent on the tree. I wonder if Trujillo is like actually... Could Holo potentially make an effigy of Trujillo that moves like a real thing out of wheat? Was that the miracle that she showed? Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it, and it's gonna be white, like on this this tree. Maybe. Where is Spice and Wool? There it is. Holo makes a moving effigy of Trujillo as the miracle. Yeah. Maybe that's what's gonna happen. We'll see. And there's also the dead tree, right? That's also a whole thing. I wonder what's that all about. Next episode, Miracle's Path and Journey's Continuation. Miracle's Path. The effigy of Lord Trujillo descending from the cavern. Maybe. It's kind of like Miracle's Path, and today's episode was called Snake Path, right? Something like that. Where's the title card? Path of the Snake God, and then we have Miracle's Path. Could they be the same path? Maybe. And Journey's Continuation, I'm assuming that's gonna be Holo talking to the white wolf and telling her, oh, but you know, go to sleep for today, I'm gonna tell you the rest of the story tomorrow. And then a big ass announcement of season 2. Right? That's gonna be it. Hopefully. We'll see, of course. We shall see. Oh, cables. That was I guess... I mean, it was a good episode. It wasn't bad, for sure. It was just mostly a nothing episode, kinda, sorta. Like, it was an episode that allowed Holo to chew through her thoughts and regrets about Yoitsu a little bit more, and to understand them a little bit more, right? To get them out of her system a little bit more as well. So this episode was very much useful in that. It also set up the grand finale, right? And set up Evan and Elsa as people who are not willing to abandon their village. Well, Evan is probably willing to abandon the village, but he's not willing to abandon Elsa. And because Elsa is not willing to abandon village, well, Evan is just kind of forced to not abandon the village either. So, yeah, that's basically their position. Hmm. It's both surprising and unsurprising that we just didn't turn tail and run away. Really. It's kind of odd. Like, on one hand, it's surprising because it was like a whole big preparation for leaving, right? And I already started to create theories that, oh, Lawrence is gonna introduce Evan to the association so that Evan might be an apprentice of one of the merchants and he's gonna be able to learn the trade, and maybe Elsa is gonna become an apprentice of Dian, right? They're gonna have a nice future in front of them, and maybe after 3 seasons or 2 seasons or however many we come back to Kumerson, or we meet Evan on the road, or stuff like that. I was already preparing that in my head, and I thought that it's actually gonna be interesting, fresh. That, well, there's a situation that completely fucking over, that we're completely unprepared for and we can't really do anything about. So for the first time ever, our heroes actually run. But on the other hand, they had to have gotten involved. They absolutely had to. They just couldn't leave Elsa and Evan behind, right? That's not how the show works. We don't abandon storylines with the conclusion being, and they run, right? So it's both surprising and unsurprising that this is what happened. I really wonder what's gonna be the miracle. I really wonder what's it gonna be. We're gonna have to wait a whole entire week for that. I also wonder what's gonna be the position of Elsa and Evan after it happens. Right? Is Evan gonna go back to just be a miller and just be, you know, the dark sheep basically of the whole village? Or is his standing gonna rise because despite taking so much abuse, he decided to help the village by tasting the wheat and proving that it's not poisoned or something like that? Maybe. I wonder. I mean, if the villagers don't treat him right, he always has an out now of just calling up Lawrence and saying, hey, yo, I want to be your apprentice. You have a space on the cart? Or you know someone who needs an apprentice? And there we go, he has an out now. Elsa would be unwilling to leave, though. So that's a bit of a problem, I guess. On one hand, I kinda don't like the fact that Elsa decided to go back, because she really owes nothing to the villagers. She owes them absolutely nothing except contempt. But on the other, it's good that she will remain at the church and she will preserve and protect the findings of Father Franz, because that's also important. And if some other priest came there on her spot, then they would have found that library sooner or later and it would probably burn. So, kind of ambivalent on that, I guess. Hopefully they can eke out a good life in this village in the end. That would be a good conclusion to that, right? Where Evan and Elsa manage to get some semblance of a good, nice life in this village without having to leave it, without having to change much. But maybe the villagers change, maybe they start being a little bit more, involved, and they start working a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe things are gonna turn for the better. Hopefully that's what's gonna happen, but we'll see, of course, right? We're gonna see that in the next episode. But right now, I'd say that's gonna be it from me for today. But maybe you guys have something more to add on the topic of this episode, my reaction, my theories, stuff like that. If so, say so in the comments down below. No spoilers, please. Spoilers can go to my Discord if you'd like. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to be notified of future videos, not only Spice and Wolf, but also Wistoria, Isekai, Shikkaku, QA, Isekai, Bye Bye are finished, so note that, but plenty others coming in the future. Click the bell to be notified when I go live, because I do go live sometimes. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. You can also support me directly on YouTube through memberships, super thanks, super chats, and if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word, it costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my wonderful Patreons: QB, Without an Edze, Rainy, Sam Greenwood, UKLI, Dr. Wataka, Master Marsh, Fassel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them if you want without having to ride holo.